A billionaire on his deathbed only wished to see his first love one last time, only to wake up back in a high school classroom in the year 2000. Seeing Su Ruochu alive and real before him, Chen Fan went crazy and rushed to kiss her deeply. The teacher roared. The classmates were shocked he didn't care at all, because I knew that in just a few minutes, the accident that changed destiny had not yet happened. And I have a chance to rewrite everything. Su Ruochu, in this life, you are mine, and no one can take you away. Beijing 3rd Hospital VIP Intensive Care Unit. The stench of disinfectant was nauseating. The monotonous beeping of the machines seemed to count down the last moments of my life. I lay in a hospital bed, covered in tubes, breathing a luxury I could barely afford. "Mr. Chun, are you sure you want the injection?" The doctor's voice came through the oxygen mask, sounding distant and unreal. I struggled to open my eyes, and through the blur I saw several specialists standing around my bed. They wore white coats, their expressions solemn, as if waiting for a solemn ceremony to end. "How long will it take?" I struggled to force out a few words from my throat, my voice hoarse like sandpaper scraping. The expert hesitated, then explained in a low voice, "If we administer euthanasia by injection, the process is quick. It will only take a few minutes." A few minutes? Is this the end of my glorious yet lonely life? I turned my head to look at my assistant, Xiao Kai, standing by the bed. His eyes were red, and he clutched a folder tightly, his knuckles white from the strain. "Xiao Kai, how are the things I asked you to handle going?" Xiao Kai took a deep breath, trying to keep his voice steady. "President Chun, everything has been arranged according to your instructions. We have set up a children's charity fund within the group, and all of your personal assets have been donated to charitable organizations." He paused, a hint of indignation in his tone. "Also, your ex-wife has been making a huge fuss these past few days, shouting that she wants to take you to court to get back her share of the property." I tried to curl my lips into a smile, but it only pulled at the muscles on my face, sending a sharp pain through me. "She wants how much?" 80 billion plus 10 properties in the capital, huh? I sneered inwardly. Back then, I was still a small-time businessman, my company facing a crisis on the verge of bankruptcy. This woman who swore to stand by me through thick and thin betrayed me at the first opportunity, conspired with outsiders to stab me in the back, and even took half of our assets in the divorce, nearly leaving me homeless on the streets. Now that I'm about to die, she remembers to come back for a piece of the pie. Vicious, yet foolish. "President Chun, rest assured, the company's legal team will handle this. She won't get a single cent," Xiao Kai comforted. I slowly closed my eyes, exhaustion flooding over me like a tide that I'm tired. My trembling hand reached under the pillow, searching for a slightly rusty tin box. I clutched it tightly to my chest, as if holding the most precious treasure in the world. Xiao Kai's expression shifted slightly to my personal assistant. He knew about the existence of this box. With my current wealth, what rare treasure couldn't I buy? Diamonds, antiques, famous paintings, but I treasure this battered iron box as if it were my own life. Every time the group faces a major crisis, I take it out and gently wipe it, then find my confidence again, leading the group through thorns and thistles. Now, I'm about to die that I can donate hundreds of billions in assets without a second thought, yet I still cling desperately to this iron box. Xiao Kai must be very curious about what's inside. Actually, there's nothing in it, just an ordinary red string bracelet, a love token given to me by Su Ruochu. Su Ruochu, my high school desk mate, later my girlfriend, and the only woman I ever loved, that gentle, graceful girl whose temperament was like an orchid, who never abandoned me when I was down and out, who ate instant noodles and lived in a basement with me. I once promised that when I succeeded in my business, I would give her a grand wedding and make her the happiest bride in the world. However, God played a huge joke on me to tee the sweetest point of our relationship. One morning, she went out to buy me breakfast and was taken by a runaway truck, cutting her young life short. After that, my business grew bigger and bigger, and the women around me changed one after another. Some wanted my money, some wanted my power, some wanted my fame, but I became lonelier and lonelier. In the dead of night, looking at the empty mansion, I finally realized that my life had already left with Su Ruochu. The remaining shell is nothing but a money-making machine. My consciousness began to fade, darkness flooding over me like a tide. Was I about to die? I refused to accept it. If only I could see her one last time at the end of my life. Ruachu, if there's an afterlife, I want to walk with you to see the brilliance of the galaxy and the splendor of the world. Class, note question 6 on page 3 of the test paper. This is a must-examine question. It didn't appear last year, but will definitely appear this year. Whether you want these free 5 points or not is up to you. Suddenly, a chaotic noise reached my ears, along with the rustling of pages being turned. And then, a crisp and gentle voice sounded in my ear, so familiar that my heart clenched sharply. "Chen Fan, wake up." I snapped my eyes open. Instead of the cold hospital ceiling, what came into view was an exquisite oval face with charming eyes and a delicate, orchid-like elegance. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating her face, where tiny fine hairs were clearly visible. Her eyes were crystal clear, carrying a hint of concern and shyness. "Ruachu," I yelled in shock, bolting upright, and my heart pounded violently in my chest, as if it were about to leap out. Am I dreaming? I reached out excitedly and pinched her soft, jade-like cheek. The touch was warm, soft, and real. "What are you doing?" Suruachu's pretty face flushed crimson. She quickly pushed me away, nervously glanced up at the podium, and lowered her voice, saying, "We're in class." It's real that it's actually real. I trembled all over with excitement. I quickly glanced around familiar young faces, rows of old desks and chairs, piles of books and test papers, and a creaky overhead fan struggling to turn. The muggy air was thick with the smell of chalk dust outside the window. The blazing sun and the relentless chirping of cicadas filled the air. On the right edge of the blackboard, a striking line was written in chalk: 36 days until the 2000 college entrance exam. My mouth dropped open, my face frozen in shock. The 2000 college entrance exam, that meant I'd been reborn back to my senior year of high school. Heaven had actually answered my prayers, and immense joy overwhelmed me, and I could no longer control myself. I grabbed Suruachu beside me and pulled her into a tight embrace. "It's so good to finally see you again, Ruachu. This time, I'll never let you go." With that, I excitedly held her face and kissed her hard. The soft touch came through, along with the fresh, sweet scent of a young girl. "Ah!" Suruachu screamed in fright, freezing stiff. The entire class erupted in chaos. "What the heck? Chun Fan has gone crazy." He actually kissed the class monitor. "This guy must be sleepwalking. This is a classroom." "Chun Fan." From the podium, our homeroom teacher Wang Qiming, who was in the middle of an energetic lecture, couldn't help roaring. A piece of chalk accurately hit my forehead. "What are you doing? Get out." Under the mocking gazes of the whole class, Suruochu's face instantly flushed bright, in shame and annoyance. She pushed me away, buried her flushed face on the desk, and her shoulders trembled slightly. But I didn't care at all. That I just looked at the homeroom teacher across from me with some excitement and blurted out, "Mr. Wang, you're still alive too." Teacher Wang was stunned for a moment. Then his beard quivered with anger. You get out and stand in the hallway as punishment." "Ah!" The whole class burst into laughter. I scratched my head and stood up a little awkwardly. As I passed by Suruachu, I quietly leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Wife, don't leave after school later, that I'll walk you home." Amidst even more frenzied laughter from the entire class, I walked out of the classroom and onto the hallway. Having been reborn, I won't waste time standing here like an idiot being punished. I quickly went downstairs and headed straight to the school convenience store. "Boss, give me a pack of sanitary pads, the kind with wings." The shop owner's wife was cracking sunflower seeds. When she heard that, she waved her hand dismissively and shooed me away. Go on. Which class are you from? Causing trouble here. So young and already up to no good." I quickly explained, "I'm from class 7, grade 12 that our homeroom teacher, Wang Qiming, sent me to buy them. His wife suddenly started her period and needs them urgently." Hearing the name Wang Qiming, she took out a pack of pads half doubtfully, tossed it on the table, and said $3.50. I pulled out the crumpled change from my pocket, paid, grabbed the pads, and ran off. "Thanks, boss." The shop owner's wife stared at my back and muttered suspiciously, "Class 7, grade 12. I remember the homeroom teacher is Wang Qiming, right? Why would a grown man buy these? How strange." I walked around the campus, looking around excitedly, gazing at the familiar teaching building, the familiar plants and trees, listening to the cicadas chirping and the sound of students reading aloud. At this moment, I couldn't hold it in any longer that I threw my head back and laughed. "Haha, awesome. San am back again. That student over there, what class are you from? What are you grinning about like an idiot? A teacher shouted from a distance. I ducked my head in fright and hurried toward the classroom. When I got back, class was already over. Seeing that our homeroom teacher Wang Qiming had left, I walked into the classroom with my head held high. Oh, the moment I entered, my classmates immediately burst out with jeering laughter. I didn't even blush and went back to my seat with a grin. Guo Shuai from the back row eagerly leaned in, looking gossipy. Brother Fan, you're a badass, daring to kiss our study committee member in class. Tell me, what's the deal? Did you read too many comic books last night? Looking at this familiar yet young face before me, my eyes were filled with nostalgia. In his past life, Guo Shuai was his best friend in this class. The kid came from a good family and had a great personality. They got along really well. Unfortunately, Guo Shuai didn't get into a 4-year university after the college entrance exam. He later attended a vocational college, I heard. Later, during winter break of his college years, Chun Fan came home and heard from his mother that the kid got into a fight at school and accidentally disabled the other person. Guo Shuai ended up in jail because of that. After that, they lost touch. Stared at by Chun Fan's intense gaze, Guo Shuai felt a bit creeped out. Guo Shuai couldn't help but cross his arms over his chest. Fan, can you stop looking at me like that? I'm a real man, you know. If you really can't hold it in, how about I tear out 2 more pages from that half of the Ibn book for you? Chun Fan was so moved he almost cried. He was willing to tear out 2 pages from the only remaining half for his buddy. Now that's a true friend. Keep it for yourself to study. Chun Fan reached out and patted Guo Shuai on the shoulder. Brother, don't worry. In this life, I definitely won't let you make the same mistake again. Guo Shuai looked confused. What do you mean? But soon he asked excitedly. So, have you really switched your affections to our class flower and study committee member? I remember you used to like Lin Yue from the class next door, right? Guo Shuai scratched his head in confusion. What's so great about Su Ruoqiu? She's skinny, and her chest is as flat as a washboard. Lin Yue is way better, big chest, thin waist, round but good looking, and she knows how to dress up. That figure of hers. When did you go blind? Chun Fan spoke with the air of an experienced elder. Kid, you're still young and don't understand. I don't blame you. Guo Shuai was speechless. Didn't you say just a few days ago that you liked big butts? Just as he was speaking, Su Ruoqiu walked into the classroom through the door. Get lost. Don't sit in my Ruoqiu's seat. Chun Fan unceremoniously kicked him away. Su Ruoqiu walked over and, seeing Chun Fan, her pretty face flushed red again. She lowered her head, quickly came to her seat and sat down, not daring to meet Chun Fan's eyes. Chun Fan stared unabashedly at Su Ruoqiu, a faint smile on his lips, as if he could never get enough of looking at her. At this moment, Su Ruoqiu was somewhat slender, appearing delicate and fragile, clearly not yet fully developed, still carrying the innocence and immaturity of a student. But in Chun Fan's eyes, Su Ruoqiu was incredibly beautiful. In his past life, how had he never noticed how beautiful Su Ruoqiu was? Chun Fan remembered that in his past life, although he and Su Ruoqiu were desk mates, he wasn't interested in her as the serious, rigid academic committee member. Later, they both went to the same city for college. Su Ruoqiu attended a first-tier university, while he enrolled in a second-tier one. In his sophomore year, they unexpectedly met again at a gathering of alumni from their hometown. After a year of maturing, Su Ruoqiu had fully blossomed, her temperament completely transformed. Chun Fan was stunned by the sight and decisively began to pursue her. Only then did they become a couple. Their relationship lasted 2.5 years until Su Ruoqiu died in an accident. That was the happiest time of Chun Fan's life, a period he would never forget. Looking at Su Ruoqiu's blushing, nervous, and at a loss face, Chun Fan wished he could slap himself hard. He was truly blind and had no eyes to see. Why hadn't he pursued Su Ruoqiu earlier in his past life? He had wasted such a great opportunity. But now it's fine, he has been reborn. He and Su Ruoqiu are desk mates. Husband is here. All of Ruoqiu's future suitors can just get lost. Thinking about these, Chun Fan couldn't help grinning foolishly again. Seeing Chun Fan staring at her with a lecherous, idiotic grin, Su Ruoqiu quietly scooted a little farther away. The bell for class rang. The math teacher walked into the classroom, and the noisy room instantly fell silent. Classmates, take out the test paper from yesterday. Today we'll go over it. Chun Fan had no mind for the lesson. He secretly wrote a note and slipped it in front of Su Ruochu. Su Ruochu hesitated for a moment, then still opened it and read it. Angry, Su Ruochu picked up her pen, wrote a sentence on it, and handed it back to Chun Fan. Chun Fan immediately opened it excitedly. Please don't make such boring jokes from now on, or I'll never talk to you again. Chun Fan quickly wrote, Sorry, I won't dare to do it again without your permission. If you're still angry, how about you kiss me back to make it even? Su Ruochu looked at it, then expressionlessly crumpled the note into a ball and put it in her pocket. Oh no, my wife is really angry. Chun Fan quickly wrote another note. I was joking. You're not really angry, are you? I won't dare to do it again. Su Ruochu glanced at it, still crumpled it into a ball, and didn't reply. Chun Fan refused to give up and continued writing. I had a dream where I missed a good girl and regretted it for life. In this life, I won't let go again. This time, Su Ruochu stared at the note for a long time. In the end, she didn't crumple it into a ball, but chose to slide the note under her book. Still ignoring me. Could she really be angry? Just as Chun Fan was getting anxious, Su Ruochu suddenly spoke in a low voice. Pay attention in class. Chun Fan was overjoyed and quickly sat up straight, sitting primly. Yes, ma'am. The afternoon school bell rang. The students packed their bags one after another and left noisily. Su Ruochu sat in her seat, afraid to get up, looking nervous and at a loss. But Chun Fan seemed to have prepared in advance. He quietly took out the sanitary pad he had hidden in his desk drawer. He slipped it to Su Ruochu without leaving a trace. What is this? Su Ruochu asked, puzzled, opening the plastic bag. When she saw what was inside, her face instantly turned bright red. You show. Chun Fan made a shushing gesture and quickly took off his school uniform top, tying it around her slender waist. Go on, no one will notice. Su Ruochu, her face red, glanced at Chun Fan, hesitated for 2 seconds, then quickly stood up and ran out of the classroom holding the sanitary pad. Watching her slender back and swaying ponytail, Chun Fan couldn't help but stretch. My wife really gets prettier the more I look at her. She's too skinny. Look, her chest is almost gone from hunger. Once I start earning money, I'll make sure to buy her lots of good food to help her gain some weight. Chun Fan, a voice interrupted Chun Fan's daydreaming. At the classroom door, a tall boy stood there staring at Chun Fan. It was class monitor Huang who, Yo, squad leader, you calling me? Come out for a moment. Chun Fan slung his backpack over his shoulder and walked out of the classroom. Something up, squad leader? Chun Fan's carefree attitude made Huang, who furrowed his brow, he really didn't like it. Chun Fan, did you kiss Su Ruochu in class today? Chun Fan was momentarily stunned. So what if I did? So what if I didn't? That's none of your business, right? Huang, who gave a cold snort. I'm warning you, stay away from Su Ruochu from now on, or else don't blame me for being rude. Chun Fan looked at Huang, who in front of him, with some surprise. In his past life, how had he never noticed that this kid had a crush on Su Ruochu? As for this Huang, who, Chun Fan had never had a good impression of him in his past life either. A narcissist and a show-off, he often abused his position as class monitor to tattle on others. In his past life, after graduation, there was a class reunion that Chun Fan remembered vividly. That was when Huang, who drove a BMW over. At that reunion, Huang, who was the center of attention, constantly showing off that he had found a girlfriend from an official family. He also subtly boasted that he had passed the exam for a municipal civil servant position. Although he was just a low-level clerk, in Huang Hu's words, it sounded like an extremely high position. However, Huang Hu did do well later relying on his girlfriend's family background. Within a few years, he became a powerful leader in a certain government department. But his good luck didn't last long. Later, he was brought down after a mistress reported his corruption and bribery with real-name evidence. Shaking off those thoughts, Chun Fan looked at the guy in front of him, who always spoke with his chin up and looked down his nose at people. Chun Fan said calmly, That seems none of your business. I'm a class monitor. I have the right to inquire about everything in the class. Your behavior has seriously affected Su Ruochu's studies. Huang Hu gave a cold snort. You're lazy and don't want to get into a good university, but please don't drag Su Ruochu down. Chun Fan laughed. Class monitor, are you secretly in love with Su Ruochu too? His secret exposed. Huang Hu's face flashed with embarrassment for a moment, but soon he stiffened his neck and snorted coldly. So what if I am? You'd better stay away from her. Someone like you is completely unworthy of her. Chun Fan shrugged. Whether I'm worthy or not isn't for you to decide. Maybe Ruochu happens to like guys like me. As he spoke, Chun Fan patted Huang Hu on the shoulder. Also, let me give you a piece of advice. Focus on your studies and stay away from my girl from now on. Otherwise, don't blame me for beating you up. You. Huang Hu's face turned pale, and he reached out to grab Chun Fan's collar. What are you two doing? Su Ruochu's voice came from the corridor. Huang Hu quickly let go and stepped back. He glanced at Su Ruochu, then pointed at Chun Fan. Just wait and see. With that, he quickly went downstairs and left. I'll wait for you, Chun Fan said with a laugh, waving his hand, not taking it to heart at all. Su Ruochu quickly walked over, still a bit embarrassed to see Chun Fan. Were you two just fighting? Oh, no. Chun Fan quickly waved his hand. Then what did Huang Hu want from you? Oh, he asked if I had any porno discs, said he was tired from studying and wanted to relax. Chun Fan said with a straight face. Just kidding. How could someone as pure as me watch that kind of stuff? Naturally, I refused him with righteous indignation. Without hesitation, he first smeared Huang Hu's face with mud. He had to eliminate all potential suitors anytime, anywhere, without leaving a trace. Su Ruochu glanced at Chun Fan, didn't call him out on it, turned and entered the classroom. After a while, she came out carrying her school bag. Finding Chun Fan still standing at the door, Su Ruochu felt a bit awkward. Why haven't you left yet? I'll walk you back. Su Ruochu stopped in her tracks. No need, Chun Fan quickly explained. I don't have any other intentions. I just want to. No way. Su Ruochu refused very decisively. Chun Fan had no choice but to compromise. Then let's walk to the school gate together. That should be fine, right? Su Ruochu didn't say a word, turned around and headed downstairs. Chun Fan smiled and quickly followed. After leaving the teaching building and seeing no classmates around, Su Ruochu finally spoke in a low voice. Thank you. Your clothes. Chun Fan smiled. It's nothing. Just give them back to me next time. Su Ruochu lowered her head, her face flushed with obvious embarrassment. But this girl seemed to muster up great courage, looked up at Chun Fan. How did you know? What? Seeing Su Ruochu staring at him, Chun Fan immediately understood. Oh, you mean about you having your period? Upon hearing those two words, Su Ruochu gave Chun Fan a hard glare, her pretty face burning hot as if she wished she could find a hole to crawl into. Chun Fan, however, chuckled and teased. I'm your desk mate. I can tell fortunes. Nothing about you can escape my all-seeing eyes. Actually, what he wanted to say was, what's the big deal? I not only know the date of your period, but also your height, weight, measurements, and cup size after you started university. In my past life, it was also around this time. With only 1 month left until the college entrance exam, perhaps due to too much stress and intense study, Su Ruochu's period came early. Because Su Ruochu wasn't prepared, it stained her school uniform pants, causing a big scene in the class. Ahem, back then, the one laughing the loudest seemed to be me. Thinking of these, Chun Fan couldn't help but laugh. What are you laughing at? Su Ruochu suddenly asked. Chun Fan was startled and quickly waved his hand. No, I'm not laughing at you. Su Ruochu stopped walking. We're out of the school gate. Seeing Chun Fan still trying to follow, Su Ruochu frowned. Don't follow me anymore. Chun Fan scratched his head. Actually, my home is also over there. Liar. Su Ruochu ruthlessly exposed Chun Fan's lie. Chun Fan, I'll pretend today's class incident didn't happen. I hope there won't be a next time, otherwise, I'll ask the teacher to change my seat. Don't. Chun Fan was so startled, he quickly raised his hand to promise. I promise there won't be a next time. Su Ruochu gave Chun Fan a deep look, then turned and left. Watching the girl's retreating figure, Chun Fan sighed with reluctance. It seems I didn't leave a good impression on my wife during high school. She doesn't even give me a chance to get close. Just then, Guo Shuai suddenly popped out from behind. Still watching? She's already gone. Chun Fan glanced at him and said irritably, Why haven't you left yet? If I'd left, how could I have seen this show? Guo Shuai looked at Chun Fan with a surprised expression. Are you serious? You don't actually have a crush on Su Ruochu, do you? Chun Fan, what do you mean serious? I'm telling you, in this life, Su Ruochu must absolutely and definitely be my wife. Damn, you're even more shameless than me. Guo Shuai cursed and then continued. But it won't be easy for you to chase her. Who doesn't know that the class monitor is our class's famous cold goddess? She always keeps a straight face and acts all serious. She doesn't care about anything except studying. Want to chase her? It's harder than reaching the sky. Chun Fan glared. Let me warn you, don't badmouth my wife. She's a good kid who loves studying. How can you compare her to a slacker like you? TCH, talk as if you're not a slacker yourself. Guo Shuai grinned. I dare to bet with you that you can't catch Su Ruochu. If you can catch her, Guo Shuai, will eat shit upside down. Stop trying to scam free food and drink here. Chun Fan got on his bicycle. As he rode off, Guo Shuai followed behind, laughing and continuing to tease. Actually, even if you catch her, it's useless. There's only 1 month left of high school. So what if you catch her? When she gets into a top university, there will be plenty of excellent guys. Where will you, Chun Fan, fit in then? Those words suddenly reminded Chun Fan. That suddenly reminded Chun Fan. Right, in my past life, I barely got into a second-tier college, while Su Ruochu went to a 985 university. If not for my good luck, I probably wouldn't have had a chance with her. Chun Fan, startled, suddenly made up his mind and shouted loudly. I've decided. I'm going to get into a 985 university, the same one as Su Ruochu. Guo Shuai acted as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world, swaying so much on his bike that he could barely stay steady on the road. Bro Fan, if you get into a 985, Guo Shuai, will not only do a handstand and eat shit, I'll add an extra 3 pounds of it. Liquid shit, but Chun Fan was already too lazy to joke with this guy. He looked ahead with determination, making a silent vow in his heart. This time, he had to get into the same university as Ruochu. At the intersection, Chun Fan parted ways with Guo Shuai and rode home alone. Chun Fan's home was in a nearby town. It was quite far from school, a small single-story house built by the village. Pushing open the mottled black courtyard gate, the familiar small yard was the first thing that came into view. The yard wasn't big, but was kept very clean. Chun Fan's parents were hardworking people. They set aside a small vegetable plot in the yard, planting it full of eggplants, tomatoes, green beans, and other vegetables. Parking his bicycle, Chun Fan stepped into the house. Mom, Dad, I'm back. Xiao Fan is back. Go wash your hands quickly. Dinner is ready. From the kitchen, Chun Fan's mother, Li Jinxiu, poked her head out and called out. Seeing this familiar face, Chun Fan's eyes reddened, and he almost burst into tears on the spot. Chun Fan's parents were ordinary workers. His father, Chun Jianya, worked at a ceramics factory, and his mother, Li Jinxiu, was an employee at the power plant. Perhaps due to his work in his previous life, Chun Fan's father passed away from a serious illness in his early 50s. As for his mother, she fell ill from grief and passed away 3 years after his father's death. The two elders hardly had the chance to enjoy any blessings from their son. Chun Fan couldn't control his emotions. He rushed over and hugged his mother tightly from behind. Mom, I missed you. What's wrong with this child? He's acting up again. Li Jinxiu laughed and patted Chun Fan's hand. Let go, let go. Mom's cooking. Careful not to get splashed by the hot oil. Go wash your hands quickly. This dish will be ready in a moment. Okay. Chun Fan turned his head, secretly wiping away a tear. He went outside and vigorously washed his face with cold water, taking the chance to wash away the tears. Mom, where's Dad? He's working overtime at the factory tonight, so he should be home soon. His mother's voice came from the kitchen. Chun Fan looked around the house with a face full of nostalgia. Actually, this old house wasn't very big, only about 70 square meters in actual area. It had 2 bedrooms and a living room, one for his parents and one for Chun Fan himself. In the middle of the living room stood an old-fashioned wooden cupboard painted red. On top of the cupboard sat a bulky old 21-inch color TV. It was almost the only valuable item in the entire house. There was no sofa, only a few wooden chairs with chipped paint. In the very center of the living room was a square, low wooden table. On the table was a large ceramic tile with cracks, which Chun Fan's dad had brought back from the factory. This was their dining table. Chun Fan walked into his bedroom, looking at this small room of less than 10 square meters. Everything was so familiar and nostalgic. In the bedroom, there was a single bed, and to the right of the wardrobe by the window stood a desk. On the desk, under a sheet of transparent glass, were stuffed full of photos. Apart from a few family portraits, the rest were all photos of Chun Fan from childhood to adulthood. In the corner stood the family's only standing electric fan. Other than that, there was nothing else. It was such a simple little room, Yet Chun Fan had slept here for over a decade. In the evening, Chun Fan's father came home from work, and the family sat together for dinner. Listening to his parents talk about how so-and-so's child had made something of themselves, Chun Fan couldn't help but speak up. "Mom, Dad, I plan to get into a first-tier university this year to make you both happy." Chun Jianya glanced at his son and said slowly, "A first tier? I'd be lighting incense to the gods if you could get into a second-tier university." Li Jinxiu, on the other hand, smiled and comforted him. "Xiao Fan, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Mom and Dad don't have high expectations for you. Just do your best in the college entrance exam. Whether you pass or not, we won't blame you." Chun Fan looked dejected. It seemed his parents had no confidence in him at all. "Dad, how much money do we have left in the family?" "Why are you asking?" "Just curious." Chun Jianya took a sip of his drink. "Ask your mom about that, I'm not sure." Li Jinxiu thought for a moment and said, "I think it's a bit over 20,000, around 27,000. Business has been down at both our factories these past 2 years, and your dad's factory still owes him 2 months of wages." Chun Fan decisively suggested, "Dad, let's sell this old house, add the 27,000, and buy an apartment in the city." Chun Fan remembered that in 2000, the housing price in Luo City was only about 900 per square meter. Buying a 100 square meter apartment would cost less than 100,000. Putting down a down payment of a bit over 20,000, living there for a few years, then flipping it, you could easily make a 10-fold profit. Is there any better investment than that? Chun Fan was happily making plans, but his parents exchanged a worried glance. "This kid has studied himself silly. Buying an apartment? Do you know how much apartments cost these days? They're ridiculously expensive. The assistant manager at our factory bought an apartment for over 100,000, but after living in it for less than 2 years, he sold it." Chun Fan's interest was piqued. "Why sell it?" "Why?" Chun Jianya put down his glass and glanced at his son. "Because the housing prices are too high, of course." He took advantage of the high prices, sold the apartment, and rented instead. Then, when prices drop, he plans to buy a place cheaply again. That'll save him tens of thousands. Now that's a smart move. It's no wonder he got to be assistant manager. Chun Fan, the money we have is saved for your future after graduation, for finding a job, and for getting married. Why would you want to buy a house? Only an idiot would buy one at a time like this. That night, lying in bed, Chun Fan tossed and turned, unable to sleep. "It seems that getting my parents to buy a house is out of the question for now. Having been reborn, I was determined to start a business and make money." In his previous life, Chun Fan always felt he owed Su Ruochu. So in this life, he had to make it up to her properly. He would rebuild a new business empire, letting Su Ruochu witness and enjoy it all with him. Since the path of relying on his parents was blocked, he had to depend on himself. Chun Fan lay in bed, pondering how to start a business and get his first pot of gold. To be honest, as a reborn person, his only advantage was his foreknowledge of the future. Actually, that was more than enough. As a time traveler who knew the development trends of the next 20-plus years, Chun Fan clearly knew every policy, the country's development plans, leadership promotions, and entrepreneurial waves. Actually, for a reborn person, the ways to make quick money were just a few things. Buying real estate, mining rights, and stocks. Chun Fan remembered that in the year 2000, houses in both Puxi and Shenzhen were only over 4,000 per square meter. And at this time, investing in the stocks of Matai, Tencent, Baidu, and Taobao was absolutely the best opportunity. Any one of these, as long as Chun Fan made an early move, would be enough to make a huge profit in the future. Of course, there was an even better choice in the future. That was buying Bitcoin. Chun Fan remembered that this thing was born in 2009. When it first came out, it was less than 1 cent each, meaning you could buy over 1,000 Bitcoins for just 6 or 7 yuan. And by 2021, Bitcoin's value peaked at nearly $70,000 per coin. If he made an early move and hoarded several million Bitcoins, and timed it right to sell at the peak in 2021, then his wealth would truly be just an endless string of numbers. But all these things, buying houses, mines, or stocks, required a large amount of initial capital. And right now, he only had a dozen or so yuan in pocket money in total. Sigh, seeing it but not being able to touch it, how painful. It seemed he still needed to find a way to get that first seed fund. Chun Fan shook his head and sighed, deciding not to think about it for now. Put aside the first pot of gold for now, there's something more important to me right now. That is the upcoming college entrance exam. I must get into the same university as Su Ruochu. In my memory, the exam questions that year were especially difficult. Especially math, physics, and chemistry, they were hellishly hard, causing many students to wail as they left the exam hall. Moreover, the cutoff scores that year weren't high. The cutoff for first-tier universities was only 535 points. Yinhai University's admission line seemed to be 553 points. In my past life, Su Ruochu had gotten into Yinhai University. In the darkness, Chun Fan lay on his bed, his eyes burning with determination. 553, I must achieve it. Early the next morning, Chun Fan arrived at school full of fighting spirit. As soon as he entered the classroom, he saw Su Ruochu sitting in her seat. "Good morning, class monitor." Chun Fan greeted her with a smile, but Su Ruochu's face flushed and she quickly lowered her head. "Ah, my wife is perfect in every way except for how shy she is." Moreover, even in my past life, after they had confirmed their relationship, Su Ruochu was still a very shy and traditional girl. Chun Fan remembered the first time he finally managed to get Su Ruochu to go to a hotel, but then he let his mouth run and suggested trying something new. The consequence was that he got kicked off the bed directly, which led to his wife not letting him touch her for the whole night. Comrades, these are hard-learned lessons. Chun Fan silently warned himself. Must learn from the lesson and keep trying. Chasing girls is hard work, you must never rush. At that moment, Su Ruochu quietly handed him a shopping bag. "What's this?" Chun Fan opened it and saw it was his school uniform. He took it out and immediately grinned. "You even washed it for me?" He quickly put on and took a deep sniff. "Smells great. What brand of detergent did you use?" My desk mate is so clever." Su Ruochu blushed and turned her head away. "If you keep talking nonsense, I'll ask the teacher to change my seat." No. Chun Fan quickly surrendered. "I promise I won't say anything." For the entire next morning, Su Ruochu found that Chun Fan actually didn't continue bothering her. This guy, whether in class or during breaks, kept holding his textbook, flipping through it, occasionally writing and drawing with a pen. He didn't even listen to the teacher's lecture and remained immersed in his own world. Out of curiosity, Su Ruochu secretly glanced and found that he was marking some knowledge points. What is he doing? Su Ruochu was a bit confused. Could he be trying to work hard from now on? Isn't it a bit too late? Finally, on the third time she peeked, Chun Fan suddenly looked up and grinned at Su Ruochu. Su Ruochu immediately, like a frightened little rabbit, quickly averted her gaze, her heart pounding. Chun Fan smiled and didn't disturb her. Instead, he lowered his head and continued flipping through his book. To be honest, after his rebirth, he had no system and no cheat code. His only advantage was that he had taken the college entrance exam once. He had done all those exam questions once before. Although many years had passed, he had almost forgotten most of the questions. But Chun Fan had a vivid memory of some key difficult problems. After all, those problems had tortured him back then, and he couldn't solve many of them during the exam. For example, Chun Fan clearly remembered that the last 6 analytical problems in math accounted for 70 points. He knew what the last 3 problems were that made countless examinees scratch their heads and cry in pain. He knew which article was the reading comprehension in this year's college entrance exam Chinese. He knew that this year's Chinese exam essay topic was about understanding different perspectives on life through 4 graphic symbols and different answers to problems. He knew the English reading comprehension and essay topics, and he also knew the science comprehensive exam. With all this, plus his current knowledge level, if he gave it his all, he definitely had a chance to score 553. At noon after school, his buddy Guishuai slipped over. "Bro Fan, let's go eat out." Chun Fan shook his head. "You go ahead, I'll eat at the cafeteria." "What's good at the cafeteria?" "I'll treat you to a big meal outside." Chun Fan decisively stood up. "Let's go." "Damn, do you have to be so real?" Chun Fan smiled. "You rich bastard, if I don't bleed you, who else would I bleed?" Guishuai wasn't mad, he laughed and slung an arm around Chun Fan's neck. "Don't worry. Even if I have to treat you to meals all the way until the college entrance exam, I can afford it." Chun Fan was deeply moved. "As expected from my good bro. Can you just lend me 20,000 yuan? Damn, you might as well sell me for cash." The two chatted and laughed as they walked out of the classroom. With senior year and the college entrance exam approaching, the school's inspections had noticeably loosened up. When leaving the school gate, as long as you wore your student ID, The teachers would usually turn a blind eye and let you out directly. The restaurant across from the school gate was incredibly busy. If you arrived late, you might not get a seat in line. Chun Fan and Gui Shuai held their trays, looking at the crowded room full of students with frustration. Maybe we should just pack it up and eat in the classroom? Chun Fan suggested. No way, look over there. Gui Shuai excitedly pulled Chun Fan through the crowd, and from afar, Chun Fan spotted Su Ruochu eating. Gui Shuai grinned and walked over. What a coincidence, you two beauties. Mind if we share a table? Su Ruochu was eating with a relatively good friend named Li Na. When she looked up and saw Chun Fan, her expression was obviously a little flustered. Li Na smiled and asked, "Didn't you find a seat? Sit here with us." After saying that, she proactively stood up, picked up her plate, and sat together with Su Ruochu. Thanks. Gui Shuai quickly pulled Chun Fan to sit down. Chun Fan ate with his head down, while Li Na kept secretly checking him out. Chun Fan couldn't help it anymore. He looked up. Is there something on my face? Li Na grinned, staring at Chun Fan. Chun Fan, why did you kiss Su Ruochu yesterday? As soon as these words came out, Gui Shuai, who was eating, immediately sprayed rice everywhere. Meanwhile, Su Ruochu's little face turned bright red, and she quickly pushed her friend. Chun Fan, on the other hand, didn't blush or get flustered. Actually, it was a misunderstanding. I was having a sweet dream at the time, just getting married and taking a bride. These words made Li Na burst out laughing. So you're saying you see our class monitor as your wife? Chun Fan sneaked a glance at Su Ruochu and quickly shook his head. That's what you said, not me. Li Na pressed on. Let me ask you, do you like Su Ruochu? Yes, Chun Fan nodded without hesitation and admitted directly. That one sentence stunned Li Na, while Su Ruochu blushed and stood up. I'm done eating. I'm heading back first. Hey, Ruochu, don't go. I'm not done asking yet. Li Na called out anxiously a couple of times, then got up and chased after her. Before leaving, she didn't forget to tease Chun Fan. A jar of chocolate candies. And I'll tell you one of Su Ruochu's secrets. Remember, it has to be chocolate. Watching Li Na chase after her with a grin, Chun Fan shook his head. Do I need you to tell me my girl secrets? Seeing Gui Shuai still staring intently outside, Chun Fan couldn't help tapping the table. What are you looking at? Gui Shuai grinned sheepishly. Bro, what do you think of Li Na's looks? Chun Fan was taken aback. You like Li Na? I didn't see that coming. In my past life, I don't recall Gui Shuai ever pursuing Li Na. Gui Shuai across from him grinned sheepishly again. Li Na isn't exceptionally pretty, but don't you think her smile is lovely? Especially the way she smiles, it reminds me a lot of my ex-girlfriend. Chun Fan was surprised. You have an ex-girlfriend? Of course, my ex is Li Bingbing. Damn, I shouldn't have asked. Chun Fan lowered his head and continued, eating silently. You haven't said what you think of Li Na yet. Yeah, she's great. I support you going after her. Chun Fan mumbled vaguely while eating. Gui Shuai was in a great mood. For that comment alone, this meal's on me. Chun Fan immediately raised his hand. Boss lady, 2 more chicken legs. After lunch, Gui Shuai ran to the kitchen to use the restroom. Chun Fan stood alone by the roadside, still desperately trying to recall the content of the college entrance exam questions in his mind. At that moment, a few young men pushed open the glass door of the restaurant and barged in. Who knows Chun Fan from Class 7, Senior 3? Who's looking for me? Chun Fan called out in confusion. Those young men immediately turned around and walked out. One with an afro stared at Chun Fan and sneered. So you're the damn Chun Fan? Chun Fan looked at these young men dressed like non-mainstream punks. Immediately understood they were up to no good. What's up? Damn it. I asked if you're Chun Fan. Chun Fan pretended to be puzzled. What do you want with him? The messy-haired guy spat a thick glob of phlegm on the ground. My little bro is Huang who got it? Did you threaten him? Chun Fan shook his head firmly. It wasn't me. I didn't. Not me. At that moment, a little thug beside him suddenly pointed. Brother Crow, that's the bastard Huang who showed me his photo. Hearing this, Mophead immediately laughed. Kid, you're quite cunning. But even the most cunning hunter can't outsmart a sly fox. The lackey nearby couldn't help but remind him. Brother Crow, you got it backwards. Mophead raised his hand and slapped him. Shut the fuck up. Then he reached out to threaten Chun Fan. Yellow Tiger is my underling, and I'm the one who looks after this turf. Got it? Chun Fan quickly asked. Who are you? I am Crow. Brother Crow, how about covering me too? I'll acknowledge you as my boss. Hearing this, Crow was visibly taken aback. Just as he was about to sneer, Chen Fan's expression suddenly lit up as he waved at someone behind the group. Teacher Wang, you're here for meal too? The gang of youths was startled and quickly turned around. They saw Guo Shuai carrying a bucket of swill and dumping it directly onto Brother Crow's head. Chen Fan stepped forward and kicked him over. Damn, just as Crow Brother was about to speak, Chen Fan and Guo Shuai had already darted into an alley and vanished. What the hell are you standing around for? Chase them. Crow Brother climbed to his feet angrily. A pile of rotten vegetable leaves stuck to his head, foul-smelling juice trickling down his hair. Chen Fan and Guo Shuai dashed through several alleys before stopping, panting heavily. Can't run anymore. Let's rest a bit. Guo Shuai was clutching his stomach, gasping for air. So who are these guys? Chen Fan turned his head and glanced, then gave a cold snort. Who else? Huang Hu hired them to teach me a lesson. Huang Hu? Guo Shuai sneered. It's about the study committee member, right? Chen Fan was taken aback. You know he likes Suruwachu? Guo Shuai laughed. Only an idiot wouldn't see it. That dumbass Huang Hu thought he was hiding it well, but I could tell at a glance that his eyes, whenever he looks at the study committee member, are up to no good. Damn, he dares to mess with my sister-in-law? I'll fucking kill him. Chen Fan patted Guo Shuai on the shoulder. Good brother, you're awesome. All right, let's head back first. Wait. Guo Shuai grabbed Chen Fan. Those guys are probably watching at the school gate. Going back now would be walking right into the trap. Chen Fan frowned. Then what do we do? Don't rush. Let them wait. Let's go hang out at Birch Forest. Birch Forest? Chen Fan suddenly caught on. Birch Forest was the internet cafe near the school. Back in the day, after school, he and Guo Shuai used to sneak in plenty of times to play games. Chen Fan thought about it. What Guo Shuai said made sense, so he nodded. Let's go. The two quietly slipped out of the alley, made sure no one was around, then took the long way straight to Birch Forest. As soon as they entered the internet cafe, Guo Shuai familiarly greeted the girl at the front desk. Hey, beautiful. Open 2 computers and charge them for 2 hours. The front desk girl glanced at them. Register with your ID card. Guo Shuai didn't bat an eye or lose his cool. Didn't bring it. Just give us a temporary card. Chen Fan was speechless. Bro, you're still wearing your school uniform. But the receptionist actually took out 2 pieces of paper with strings of numbers written on them and tossed them onto the table. Let's go, Guo Shuai said, pulling Chen Fan into the main hall. As soon as he pulled open the thick curtain dam, it was pitch black like an air raid shelter. And the room was filled with smoke, so acrid it stung the eyes. All kinds of sounds flooded into Chen Fan's ears like a tidal wave. Damn, my mind got stolen. The enemy's infantry are already attacking. Where's the tank? Why didn't you buy the Apocalypse tank? Use your ultimate move. Hurry up and execute it. Damn, that Iori you're playing is absolute crap. Woo-woo. Brother Xiaoyao and Zhao Linger's story is so touching. Hearing the sound around him, Chen Fan couldn't help but curl his lips into a slight smile. It was so nostalgic. In this era, students didn't have short videos or video streaming sites. A simple little game could keep them excited all day. Guo Shuai tugged Chen Fan to a seat in the farthest corner. Hurry up, turn it on. Today I'll show you my red alert unlimited unit production skills. Chen Fan chuckled as he sat down and pressed the power button. The familiar Windows 98 startup music played. You play by yourself today? I have other things to do. Guo Shuai glared. Damn, you come to an internet cafe not to play games? Are you here to watch the evening news? Cut the crap. I've got serious business. Guo Shuai muttered as he walked over and started red alert by himself. Soon, he was shouting excitedly. In fact, Microsoft had already released Windows 2000 in February of that year, but the internet cafe in the small town where Chen Fan and his friends were located hadn't updated yet. Moreover, for Chen Fan generation, the first computer system they got familiar with was Windows 98. Looking at the classic desktop with blue sky, white clouds, and green grass, Chen Fan revealed a knowing smile. It was so nostalgic. At this time, the first wave of trendsetters had already emerged on the domestic internet. Chen Fan remembered that Sina.com had gone public on Nasdaq in April, enjoying unprecedented popularity. But soon, NetEase would go public at the end of this month, and the latest, So, would go public on the 12th of next month. At that time, the 3 major portals would stand as a tripod, enjoying unprecedented dominance. As for the later more famous Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, Tencent was enduring the internet winter, with Ma Huadeng once trying to sell QQ for just 1 million yuan. Meanwhile, Ma Yin at Alibaba was struggling hard to build his sales team. As for Baidu, it was slightly better just last month. It launched its own Chinese search engine, beginning a full entry into the Chinese internet technology field. Of course, there was another big player, Lu Qiangdong, who was still selling optical drives and CD burners at a small store called JD Multimedia in Zhongguancun, and his full transition to online retail was still 3 years away. But none of this had anything to do with Chen Fan, who was still a student. Even as a time traveler, he was not yet qualified to discuss the world's affairs with these titans over drinks. Clicking the mouse to open the Sina page, Chen Fan casually browsed through a few current news items. The U.S. stock market was turbulent, with the Nasdaq index sliding all the way down. Seeing this news, Chen Fan thought to himself that probably not many people in China would know that soon the wave of the internet bubble would sweep through the country. By then, a large number of domestic companies would perish in this internet winter. Only those enterprises that had prepared for the crisis early could survive this winter and then usher in a new boom. However, all of this was still too far away for Chen Fan at the moment. What he needed was to find an opportunity to make his first pot of gold. He pondered in his mind which direction he should take. His eyes inadvertently swept to the top of the page, and a thought suddenly flashed, making Chen Fan's eyes light up instantly. Domain names. Domain names. That's right, I can buy and sell domain names. In his previous life, Chen Fan studied computer technology and was a typical IT guy. Therefore, back in college, he had specifically researched this. Speaking of which, domain name trading is a business with huge profits from a small investment. As long as you can grab a good domain name and then sell it off, it's not a fantasy to become a millionaire or even tens of millions overnight. Chen Fan remembered that in the later days, JD's domain name was bought for 30 million. Leijun Xiaomi spent over $3 million on theirs. Of course, the most expensive was the domain name for 360, which cost over 100 million to purchase from a foreign website at that time. This shows just how crazy domain name trading was. Speaking of the most well-known domain name investors back then, the two names were Kai Wensheng and Yao Jinbo. The former is the chairman of Meitu Xiuxiu, a famous investor, and holds a large number of rare domain names. Of course, the latter is more well-known because Yao Jinbo is the founder and boss of 59 Tongsheng. This man had very sharp insight early on. He frantically registered a large number of domain names. It is said that he owns the most two-digit numeric domain names in the country, with a total value over 100 million. Chen Fan excitedly rubbed his hands together. This is the advantage of foresight. Strike before others have even reacted. Chen Fan got up, went to ask the internet cafe attendant for paper and pen, then quickly jotted down all the domain names of well-known websites he could think of. It took him about half an hour to write down nearly 50 domain names. Next, he tried to register them one by one. Since Alibaba Cloud had not yet been founded at that time, the only way to register was to use foreign websites. However, this was not a problem for Chen Fan, an IT guy. With a simple operation, he easily got past the firewall. He found a registration website, opened it, logged in, and tried to register. This domain is already taken this soon. Oh, this one is taken too. No problem, I have plenty more. Chen Fan grumbled as he tried one after another. Half an hour later, Chen Fan's face was pale and the corner of his mouth twitched constantly. Damn, does it have to be this harsh? He slumped weakly against the back of his chair. With a face full of frustration, every domain name he could think of had already been snatched up by someone else. At that moment, Chen Fan felt he had underestimated the world's heroes. When it was time to log off, Guo Shuai slapped the table in frustration. Damn, I was so close to winning. He turned his head and saw Chen Fan sitting beside him with a blank expression, looking like he was spacing out. Guo Shuai nudged Chen Fan. What are you thinking about? Want to extend for another hour? Extend my ass. Let's go. Chen Fan, feeling annoyed, stood up and got ready to leave. Guo Shuai looked reluctant. Let me play for one more hour. Just one more hour, okay? You have to let me have some fun. Seeing Chen Fan staring intently at a certain direction, Guo Shuai followed his gaze. As a result, he saw a familiar figure sitting and playing games in a corner on the opposite side of the internet cafe hall. Huang Hu. Guo Shuai was a bit surprised and exchanged a glance with Chen Fan. So it was this bastard who caused the trouble. What are you thinking? If this were the Chun fan from his past life, he would probably just let it go, thinking it's better to avoid trouble. But now, Chun fan's body houses a soul in his 40s. Moreover, Huang, who threatening him was nothing. What mattered was that he actually had designs on Suruochu. That Chun fan absolutely could not tolerate. You go back first. This matter has nothing to do with you. Hearing that, Guo Shuai laughed. Are you looking down on me? Brothers are in the heart, understand? Chen Fan looked at Guo Shuai with a face full of admiration. That's awesome. Guo Shuai rolled up his sleeves. I'll handle this later. Don't interfere. Anyway, I'm already seen as a bad student by the teachers. The worst they can do is give me a public reprimand. I'm already used to it. Chen Fan was about to speak when he noticed Huang, who across from him, stand up and walk out. Damn, he's logging off too. Follow him. The two tailed him quietly. Turns out Huang, who didn't leave instead, he went into the internet cafe's bathroom. Chen Fan gave Guo Shuai a look and casually picked up the trash can by the door. Guo Shuai counted down from 3 and gently pushed open the bathroom door. Sure enough, it wasn't locked. In the foul-smelling stall, Huang, who was facing away from them, urinating and humming a tune. Chen Fan stepped forward and slammed the trash can over the guy's head. Damn, who the hell is asking for trouble? Huang, who yelled and was about to reach up to grab the trash can when Guo Shuai stepped forward and kicked him right in the ass. That kick was pretty strong. Huang, who fell flat on his face to the ground. Right in front of him was the urinal. The bathroom in the internet cafe was as filthy as one could imagine, with unflushed yellow and white waste filling the urinals. Huang, who, falling face first, pressed his hands directly onto it. Guo Shuai wanted to rush over and kick him a couple more times, but Chen Fan grabbed him and dragged him out of the restroom. Who? Who the hell wants to die? I fucking saw you. If you got the guts, don't... puke. Behind them came Huang, whose wailing cries, while Chen Fan and the other guy dashed out of the internet cafe, laughing heartily. I've hated that bastard for a long time, playing the bully as a class monitor, thinking he's the principal. Chen Fan didn't feel much excitement after the revenge. Instead, he urged, let's hurry. Next class should be with our homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang. If we're late, we're dead. Damn, I almost forgot. Let's go. The two sprinted all the way and finally rushed into the classroom just before the bell for the second period rang. Watching the homeroom teacher walk in afterward, Chen Fan and Guo Shuai exchanged glances and smiled. Class, let's begin. Wang Qiming looked around and furrowed his brows. Where's the class monitor? Huang who? No one answered. Guo Shuai raised his hand. Teacher, the class monitor probably fell into the toilet, right? How about I go find him? The whole class burst into laughter. Guo Shuai, you can't stay out of anything, can you? Sit down properly. Teacher Wang said with a cold snort. Class begins. Chen Fan smiled as he took out his textbook. Turning his head, he found Suruochu secretly glancing at him, so he quickly grinned. Unexpectedly, this time a class beauty didn't look away. You skipped class. Chen Fan was stunned and quickly whispered an explanation. I actually... Suruochu Fronith. The college entrance exam is coming soon. Chen Fan. Don't you take it seriously at all? Don't you want to get into a good university? Even if you don't care about yourself or your parents, shouldn't you at least think about your own future? Chen Fan was a bit surprised that Suruochu had said so much in one go. He gave an awkward smile and scratched his head. Got it. I'll listen to you. I won't skip class again. Suruochu turned her head away. Why would you listen to me? Studying is your own business. But Chen Fan was all smiles, feeling extremely excited inside. The goddess took the initiative to care about me. She has feelings for me. After school that afternoon, Suruochu carried her backpack and arrived at the bike shed. As expected, she spotted Chen Fan waiting there at first glance. Hee, what a coincidence. Let's walk together. Suruochu Fronith. Chen Fan, what exactly are you trying to do? I don't mean anything else. I just want to walk home with you after school. Suruochu pondered for a moment before suddenly asking. At lunch today, was that thing you said really not true? What thing? Chen Fan was a bit confused, not reacting immediately. Suruochu's pretty face turned red, and she looked away. That you said you like me. Is it true? Chen Fan's eyes lit up, and he nodded repeatedly. Yes, absolutely true. I like you. Would you be my girlfriend? Suruochu was startled, not expecting Chen Fan to be so direct. Suddenly, her heart raced, and she didn't know what to do. You're talking nonsense. After quietly glancing around to confirm there were no classmates, Su Ruochu blushed and began to speak. Chun Fan, I don't care if you're serious or joking. The college entrance exam is coming soon. I won't be dating anyone during high school. I hope you understand. Su Ruochu hesitated for a moment and said in a low voice, I don't want to be disturbed during this last period. Understood, understood. Don't worry, I definitely won't disturb you. Chun Fan nodded repeatedly, then changed the subject. Then can I secretly like you? That won't do either. Su Ruochu stomped her foot, face red. Why do you have to pester me? Don't you have a girl you like? Isn't it our school beauty Lin Yue? Don't you like girls with big chests and nice figures like her? Damn it. Who the hell is spreading these baseless rumors about me? Chun Fan quickly raised his hand to swear. By heaven and my conscience, how could I possibly like girls with big chests? The one I like is you. As soon as the words left his mouth, Chun Fan was stunned. Shit, seems like I said the wrong thing. As expected, Su Ruochu expressionlessly pushed her bike and walked out. Chun Fan quickly caught up. I said the wrong thing. Actually, yours isn't small either. Chun Fan. Su Ruochu stopped, huffing and glaring at him. Chun Fan looked embarrassed and gave an awkward smile. His eyes darted around as he quickly changed the subject. Well, you can have me stop bothering you, but you have to agree to one condition. As expected, Su Ruochu fell for it. What condition? Chun Fan suggested with a smile. Before the college entrance exam, I won't actively pursue you, but you have to let me walk you home after school every day. No way. Su Ruochu shook her head, blushing. That would give people the wrong idea. So it's not that she hates me, she's just shy. Got it. Chun Fan smiled and nodded. All right, I'll swap conditions. From now on, when I write you notes, you can't ignore me. And if I run into a problem I can't solve, you have to help me. This request didn't seem too unreasonable. Su Ruochu thought for a moment, then nodded in agreement. Chun Fan immediately pressed his advantage and asked with a smile. So after the college entrance exam, can I pursue you? Su Ruochu frowned. After the exam, everyone will go their separate ways to different universities. That question doesn't mean much. What if I get into the same university as you? Su Ruochu's expression froze for a moment, looking conflicted, as if afraid her words might hurt Chun Fan's pride. But Chun Fan was unusually resolute, his eyes burning as he stared into hers. Su Ruochu, if I can get into the same university as you, will you be my girlfriend? Su Ruochu's cheeks flushed red, and her gaze wavered, avoiding his. First get in, then we'll talk. With that, she quickly hopped on her bike and rode off. I will definitely get in, Chun Fan shouted after her with a laugh. That evening, Li Jinxiu quietly cracked open her son's bedroom door to take a peek. She saw Chun Fan sitting at his desk, reading seriously. A gratified smile spread across her face, and she gently backed out. Dad, haven't you noticed how much our son has changed lately? When he came back in the evening, he didn't watch TV either after dinner. He just sat in his room studying. Chun Jianya sat on the balcony smoking, heard this, and nodded with emotion. I noticed it. It's a pity there's less than a month left before the college entrance exam. But Li Jinxiu smiled and comforted him. As long as our son is willing to change, it's never too late. That's true. Chun Jianya sighed. It's just a pity that I don't have the ability to help our son much. I heard that city kids nowadays drink milk every day, saying it can boost brain power. Enough. Children have their own fortunes. Don't overthink it. Put out that cigarette and go to sleep. The smoke is choking, and our son is still studying. Chun Jinya quickly extinguished the cigarette, then raised his hand to wave away the smoke. After turning off the light and lying in bed, they were silent for a while. Then Chun Jianya's voice sounded again. Wife, tomorrow after work, I'll buy a box of plain milk for our son. If the kid is willing to work hard, we as parents must do our best to support him. All right, whatever you say. Guishuai noticed that Chun Fan had changed recently. He no longer joked or played around with them, whether class was in session or not. He just buried his head in books, and his interactions with Su Ruochu had noticeably decreased. Wasn't he saying he wanted to pursue her? He's given up, Guishuai whispered his thoughts to Chun Fan. If you don't seize the time now, once you get into college and she goes to a big city, you won't have a damn chance. Chun Fan just rolled his eyes. The emperor isn't worried, but the eunuch is. What the hell do you know? Guishuai immediately got anxious. I might not be good at studying, but when it comes to picking up girls, I'm miles ahead of you. Today, I'll show you who the real master of flirting is. At noon, in the small restaurant outside, when Guo Shuai again dragged Chun Fan to the table where Su Ruochu and Li Na were sitting. Chun Fan immediately understood why this guy was even more anxious than he was. So it turned out he wanted to use him as a cover to get close to Li Na. Aren't there seats next to us? Why are you coming to our table? Li Na pursed her lips and muttered. Guo Shuai grinned. Eating together with classmates makes the food taste better. Chun Fan slapped his forehead. This idiot. Actually, Guo Shuai has something he wants to ask you. Ask me. Li Na was a bit surprised. Guo Shuai took the opportunity to put down his tray and sat down next to Li Na. Chun Fan, on the other hand, sat down beside Su Ruochu. Su Ruochu kept her head down, though. She didn't look at Chun Fan. She moved a little away. Guo Shuai, what question do you have for me? Well, Guo Shuai, thinking on his feet, said immediately, I actually wanted to ask which university you plan to apply to. University? Li Na was stunned, frowned, and then mused. My grades aren't good, but if I can get in, I want to go to an art school in the South. That's great. With your figure, you must be good at dancing. Really? Guo Shuai seemed to have a sudden epiphany. Of course, the dance you performed at last New Year's party left the deepest impression on me. Really? Li Na said sweetly. I didn't expect you to have such good taste. Chun Fan stood by, dumbfounded. This Guo Shuai is really something. He actually has some skills. He's already getting close to her. Looking at his own side, Su Ruochu was eating with her head down, taking small bites, with no intention of talking to him. Their relationship hadn't improved. Instead, it seemed to have regressed. How embarrassing. Chun Fan felt a bit crushed. After finishing the meal, as they were about to leave, Guo Shuai called out again. Boss, for bottles of cola, please. The four of them drank cola as they walked back to school. Guo Shuai excitedly suggested, how about we four have lunch together every day from now on? Li Na hadn't yet realized Guo Shuai's ulterior motives, thinking he was just creating opportunities for Chun Fan. So she nodded cheerfully. I have no objections. What do you think, Ruochu? Huh? Su Ruochu looked up, a bit embarrassed. Study committee member. You're not looking down on us slackers and refusing to eat with us, are you? Guo Shuai teased with a smile. So Ruochu quickly explained. No, I didn't say that. Guo Shuai snapped his fingers. Then I'll take that as a yes. He even deliberately winked at Chun Fan after saying that. But Chun Fan was looking down, seemingly lost in thought, and didn't notice Guo Shuai's hand at all. Guo Shuai was so annoyed. He reached out and pushed Chun Fan. What are you thinking about? Huh? Chun Fan abruptly looked up, staring at the three of them with a puzzled expression. Then, before the others could react, Chun Fan suddenly shouted excitedly. Right? Why didn't I think of that? Come on, follow me to the white birch forest. Guo Shuai was dragged away, completely dumbfounded. Left behind, Li Na looked at Su Ruochu curiously and asked, Ruochu, did you have a fight with Chun Fan? Why did he seem to be intentionally ignoring you just now? Did you have a fight with Chun Fan? Faced with her friend's inquiry, Su Ruochu shook her head. No. Then why didn't he talk to you during the meal? It seemed like he was deliberately avoiding you just now. Su Ruochu didn't speak. She pursed her lips and stared at the figures of Chun Fan and Guo Shuai running off in the distance. A thought flashed through her mind. Could it be that my rejection that day hurt his pride? At this moment, Su Ruochu didn't know how she felt. Seeing Su Ruochu silent, Li Na quickly came closer and linked arms with her. Hey, tell me the truth. Do you like Chun Fan? Su Ruochu's pretty face instantly flushed red. Well, what nonsense are you talking about? When have I ever liked him? That day in class, he suddenly kissed you, and you weren't even mad. Su Ruochu felt a bit flustered. Didn't he say it was a dream? It wasn't intentional. Really, I don't. Seeing Li Na's persistent questioning, Su Ruochu helplessly shook her head. It's not a matter of liking or disliking. Before the college entrance exam, I simply won't consider such things. That makes sense, Li Na muttered. There's less than a month until the college entrance exam. Even if you two got together, it would only be a twilight romance that ends at graduation. Seriously, Chun Fan has been your desk mate for so long. What took him so long? He only starts to panic when graduation is imminent. But what? Su Ruochu looked over curiously. Li Na giggled and said casually, as if joking. But actually, Chun Fan is quite handsome, especially his eyes. They look so beautiful when he smiles. I've heard his family isn't well off. Otherwise, I think about dating him too. Su Ruochu stared wide-eyed at her best friend, then suddenly reached out and pinched her on the arm. What are you daydreaming about all day? Thinking about handsome guys, of course. Don't tell me you haven't secretly thought about it. I haven't. I don't believe you. You little brat. Stop right there. The two girls chased each other all the way to school. On the other side, as soon as he entered the birch forest, Chun Fan easily got a temporary card and couldn't wait to run over and turn on a computer. I said, "Do you really have to play games today?" Guo Shuai looked dejected on the side. "I finally made some progress with Li Na, and you're openly sabotaging our relationship. Stop talking nonsense. It'll be done soon." Chun Fan excitedly opened a web page, entered some content, and started searching. Just then, a sudden flash of inspiration struck him. He thought a way to make money. Yesterday, Chun Fan spent a long time researching domain names, only to find that the good ones he thought of had already been registered by others. The domain name trading business was temporarily off the table, but he could take a different approach and build a website specifically for domain name trading. Speaking of which, Chun Fan owed this idea to Boss Yao from 59 City. In his previous life, Yao Jinbo held a large number of domain names, and to facilitate domain name trading, he founded EU.com. Within just a few months, EU.com became the largest domain name trading platform in the country. In the same year, EU.com was acquired by Wang, and Yao Jinbo thus obtained his first pot of gold in life. There was no detailed information online about how much EU.com was sold for. Some said a few 100,000, others said a few million. But Chun Fan estimated it would definitely be no less than 1 million. You had to know, this was 1 million in the year 2000. Chun Fan had come to White Birch Forest this time to confirm whether EU.com had actually gone live. A few minutes later, Chun Fan excitedly slammed his fist on the table. Great, it really hasn't gone live yet. The fact that EU.com hasn't gone live yet proves that I still have a chance. From now on, I must hurry and create EU.com first, successfully intercepting it before Boss Yao even realizes what's happening. Chun Fan remembered that in his previous life, EU.com was acquired by Wang around September of this year. That means he had less than 4 months left. Time is tight, but it's worth a shot. Beside him, Guo Shuai saw Chun Fan sitting in front of the computer grinning foolishly and couldn't help but lean in to take a look. He found that Chun Fan was just looking at an ordinary news webpage. "Hey, did you drink stupid wife's urine or something? Why are you laughing so happily?" Chun Fan turned his head and grinned. "Really? Come on, open your mouth wider and I'll be able to see your prostate." "Idiot, it's called the tonsils." "Bro, you really need to study biology." Guo Shuai wasn't embarrassed and just chuckled. "You know how I always get sleepy in class, except for those few chapters on human physiology? I can't understand the rest." Guo Shuai suddenly thought of something and said indignantly, "Damn, it pisses me off. Do you know how long I waited for those 2 classes on physiological structure? And then the biology teacher just told us to preview them ourselves and skipped over those pages." Chun Fan didn't want to mess around with him, so he just shut down the computer and stood up. "Let's go." "You're leaving now?" Guo Shuai's eyes widened. "It's been less than an hour. How about letting me play a round of Red Alert?" Let's go. Next period is the head teacher's class. You want to cut class?" Chun Fan said while dragging the guy out. "Let me play 1 round, just 1. We paid for it. It's a waste to not use it." In the end, Guo Shuai didn't get to play and was forcibly dragged back to school by Chun Fan. In the afternoon class, Chun Fan was so excited that he didn't even bother looking for the exam questions. A person bowed their head, writing and drawing with a pen. For a skilled programmer who had been reborn from the future, creating a forum or website was no difficult task. What Chun Fan worried about was whether Boss Yao's network would go live before his. If the other side also launched, the 2 websites would inevitably end up fighting each other for traffic. And to gain the upper hand, he would need to promote and advertise. That would require a lot of money. Moreover, to create a forum, he needed a computer by his side. He couldn't just go to an internet cafe every day to work, could he? Not to mention whether he could even get a seat. The main issue was that it would be a waste of time. Buying a separate computer was a pipe dream for Chun Fan at the moment. Computers in 2000 were not cheap. A laptop cost 10 to 20,000 yuan each, and the cheapest desktop was over 5,000 yuan, with garbage specs at that. Money. In the end, what stumped him was still money. Chun Fan frowned, looking somewhat frustrated at the list he had written on the paper, his expression gloomy. The excitement and thrill she had felt just moments ago seemed to have been doused with cold water, leaving her completely chilled to the bone. Sigh, a single coin can stump even a hero. Beside him, Su Ruochu was distracted during class for the first time. Though she sat upright, her mind was full of random thoughts. She wondered if she had upset Chin Fan somehow. Otherwise, why hadn't he taken the initiative to chat with her today? And ever since class started, he had been hunched over, scribbling and mumbling to himself. No idea what he was up to. She wanted to ask, but found it hard to swallow her pride. She agonized over it for most of the class, until it was almost over. Unable to hold back any longer, Suruwachu picked up her pen and wrote a line in her notebook. Then she quietly pushed it toward him and nudged Chun Fan with her elbow. Chun Fan, who had been brooding, suddenly noticed the notebook in front of him. "What are you doing?" Chun Fan was startled and quickly looked up. He saw that Suruwachu was looking very seriously at the podium, but her expression was clearly a bit nervous. "She was the one who initiated passing me a note." Chun Fan suddenly got excited. The previous frustration was instantly swept away. His mood immediately cleared up like a sunny sky. "Ruwachu took the initiative to talk to me. Ruwachu cares about me." With a goofy smile on his face, Chun Fan quickly wrote a sentence in his notebook and pushed it over to her. "Recently, there's a rumor in class that I like you. Let me clarify. That's not a rumor." Suruwachu looked down at it, and her pretty face instantly flushed red. She gave Chun Fan a light glance, with a feeling of both playful reproach and helplessness. It was that expression. Chun Fan felt as if he were struck by an electric current, immediately feeling elated. In their past life, when they were dating, whenever he did something that left Suruwachu speechless, she would like to look at him with that expression. Playful reproach and charm, plus a hint of a too lazy to call you out helplessness. Although Suruwachu's action at this moment lacked a hint of the charm and tenderness she would have in a few years, it had a different kind of cuteness and playfulness. Chun Fan's heart was about to melt. He quickly continued writing with his pen. "All right, a serious answer. Actually, I'm working hard for our future." Suruwachu rolled her eyes and automatically ignored this guy's nonsense. After thinking it over, she finally wrote another sentence. "Listen carefully in class, the college entrance exam is coming soon." After seeing it, the corner of Chun Fan's mouth slightly lifted. "As you say, in this life, I will only listen to and follow you alone." Suruwachu seemed defeated by Chun Fan. Blushing, she put away the notebook, tore off that page, and stuffed it in her pocket, too lazy to bother with this shameless guy. However, for the rest of the time, Chun Fan indeed didn't get distracted but focused on the lecture. This behavior gave Suruwachu an indescribable feeling. At least in her heart, she was joyful that Chun Fan listened to her like this. Moreover, her desk mate. It seemed that some strange change had really occurred these past few days. Chun Fan had never been like this before, glib-tongued, and had never said such cheesy words to her. Could it be because the college entrance exam is coming up? Suruwachu attributed all of this to the imminent college entrance exam. As soon as the afternoon school bell rang, Gua Shuai from the back row rushed over excitedly. "Hey, didn't you say you needed a computer this afternoon? I thought about it, and I happen to have one at home. How about coming to my place?" Chun Fan shook his head. "Forget it. Your dad treasures that computer like crazy. He won't even let you touch it. Besides, I can't keep coming to your house every day. What's the big deal? We're bros, aren't we? True bros are in the heart. Forget it. I appreciate the offer. I'll think of another way." Suruwachu glanced at Chun Fan, then silently picked up her backpack and walked out of the classroom. Gua Shuai winked at Chun Fan. "What? Not going after her? Giving up already?" Chun Fan laughed and swore at him. "What do you know? Chasing girls is a laborious job. I need a halftime rest so I can hit the target in one go next time and seal the deal. Cut it out. I don't think you two have a chance at all. Enough talk. Don't forget the oath you made that day. Better prepare your stool in advance. I'll personally feed it to you when the time comes. Get lost." The two of them chatted and laughed as they walked out of the classroom, heading straight to the bike shed. But unexpectedly, they ran into squad leader Huang Hu there. The guy was blocking Suruwachu's path, apparently saying something to her. Seeing this, Chun Fan quickly walked over. "Suruwachu, we're on the same way home. How about we go together?" Huang Hu said with a grin. "Coincidentally, I didn't quite grasp a few problems the teacher went over in class today. I was just about to ask for your help." Just as Suruwachu was about to speak, she caught Chun Fan out of the corner of her eye, and her expression flickered slightly. Chun Fan strode over and directly blocked her in front of Huang Hu. "You go on ahead." Huang Hu frowned. Chen Fan, what is your deal? No big deal. Chen Fan sneered. Class monitor, don't think I can't see through your little scheme. If you want to pick up girls, fine, but I'm warning you stay away from Suruwachu. You caught red-handed by Chen Fan. Huang Hu's face reddened with anger as he glared at Chen Fan. Who do you think you are? What makes you think you can meddle in my business with Suruwachu? Chen Fan smiled faintly. I'm nobody, but I can tell you this. She is my woman. These words made Suruwachu, standing behind him, tremble, and a blush instantly spread across her little face. Yet she didn't say a word to refute it. Huang Hu let out a sneer. I think you're just daydreaming too much. Someone like Suruwachu falling for you? Ruwachu, is what he said true? Are you his girlfriend? Suruwachu, expressionless, pushed her bike and started to leave. I don't want to answer such a boring question. Don't go. Huang Hu quickly stepped forward to block her. Since Ruwachu has already said that much, I might as well be straightforward with you. I like you. Originally, I was planning to confess after the college entrance exam. Would you be my girlfriend? I don't want to. Suruwachu refused without hesitation. Why? Huang Hu widened his eyes, looking a bit hurt. It seemed he had never imagined he would be rejected. Do you really like Chen Fan? Suruwachu glanced at Chen Fan and said indifferently, that's none of your business. It seemed that Suruwachu's attitude had pricked his pride and wounded his self-esteem. Huang Hu couldn't accept it for a moment. Why? Why are you rejecting me? Am I not good enough? In this school, only I am worthy of you. And last time during the math Olympiad, I had a stomachache, and you voluntarily bought me water and medicine and cared about me. Suruwachu was speechless. Huang Hu, you're overthinking it. I only have classmate friendship for you, not what you think. At that time, if it had been any other classmate, I would have done the same. Impossible. I don't believe it. Huang Hu shouted excitedly. You must like me too, right? Is it because they're here that you're too shy to admit it? Seeing this guy acting as defenseless as a little kid, Chen Fan couldn't help but laugh. What a character to be so narcissistic all on his own. Clearly, he has no dating experience and doesn't understand Suruwachu at all. This kind of behavior from Huang Hu will only make Suruwachu dislike him even more. Sure enough, Suruwachu's brows furrowed. Yet Huang Hu was still shouting excitedly. Fine, I'll ask you one last time. If you had to choose between me and Chen Fan to walk with, who would you pick? You better think carefully. I choose Chen Fan. Huang Hu's words came to an abrupt halt, staring at Suruwachu in shock. I choose Chen Fan, Suruwachu repeated. Huang Hu was about to take the college entrance exam. It's better to focus more on studying at a time like this. With that, she pushed her bike toward the school gate. Chen Fan quickly pushed his bike to follow. He even turned his head to flash a grin at Huang Hu. Thanks, man, he was genuinely grateful to this guy. If it weren't for Huang Hu, he'd never have gotten the chance to go home with Suruwachu. Behind them, Guo Shuai grinned, watching the dazed Huang Hu with an exaggerated wave. Strange, why does it smell like a sewer? Did someone fall into the toilet? Hearing this, Huang Hu flinched and instinctively looked down at his hands. Seeing them clean, he snapped out of it and glared at Guo Shuai, who was already cycling away. Bastards. So who was you guys last time at the internet cafe? Huang Hu's eyes turned sharp and venomous. Chen Fan, just you wait.